My parents charged me to visit them for Christmas, and now I am thinking of cutting them out of my life. Am I in the wrong? Hi everyone. I arrived in Ireland on the 3rd of December and am supposed to leave on the 3rd of January. This is my first time visiting since I left Ireland 2 years ago. Before I booked my flights, I discussed with my parents if the dates were okay, and we agreed I would pay them €400 to stay here for the month. Their rent is €100 per month, so they would still have €300 left after this. While here I have also paid for electricity, food and of course Christmas shopping, chocolates, cakes, etc. Today my mom came to talk to me and told me we had agreed I would only stay for 2 weeks, and I am already overstaying my welcome, and that if I wanted to stay until the 3rd, I would have to pay €600. Of course this is a lie since I had agreed on everything with them beforehand. I am honestly thinking of just cutting them off for this, but my problem is, I still have some belongings in the house, PS4, games, books, etc. Do you think I am being petty if I cut them off over this? I want to point out that at the moment I am unemployed, starting a new job in January, and have to pay also for my own rent and bills, so it's not as if I am in a good financial position right now, which my parents know.
Tell him to get forked. I've never heard of someone being charged to go home for the holidays. It'd be one thing if you moved back with them and lived with them for a while. You did your part helping them around with food and Christmas shopping. The rest is really not your responsibility. Did they help you move out? I doubt it by this post if this isn't a wind-up. I wouldn't even go through the hassle of paying them the original €400. Play stupid games, get stupid prizes.
Jesus, don't even know where to start with this one.
He should start by telling the bastards if they want him to attend their funerals. He charges by the hour, and will not be contributing a cent towards it, as they should have plenty saved over the years. Before ditching for good, ask them if they have made a will and who gets the house when they die. That could make it worthwhile to keep in contact. But yeah, I'd be leaving and not contacting them first ever again. Maybe a few years would soften their cough. Also, when you leave, put a list on the table saying how you feel unloved because of, and list all the cheap ace shoot they did. Stealing your birthday money, etc. 2 absolute gals if the OP is truth.
They state in the post their parents pay €100 rent a month. So I'd say they don't own the house.
What the fork are they renting for €100 a month?
Council house.
Me and you are paying for the rest of it, mate.
Well, no, because I'm on HAP. I hope you're specifically referring to these proven reprobates and their ilk, and not expressing resentment towards anyone in receipt of benefits.
Social housing is a necessity. OP's parents sound like leeches. So yes, my reaction is specific to them or similar people. I have no problem funding a safety net. We may all need it one day.
Hold on just a second, by chance do your parents live in Cavan?
Now, that was uncalled for. Accurate but uncalled for. That's one of those things we can think but we don't say out loud.
I should have identified myself as a self-deprecating Cavan man in the original post.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I've never heard of anything like this. Charging family to visit for the holidays. And then trying to gouge them for even more. You can fork right off.
Assuming this isn't a troll. You have been in an abusive relationship with your parents your whole life by the sounds of it. And it has warped your perspective of normal behavior. It's usually very difficult to see abuse from inside the relationship. And the fact that you're starting to see it is fantastic. For the removal of doubt, it is completely psychotic to charge children extortionate rent to visit at Christmas. Your parents are abusive aceholes. It is shooty to turn around and try to squeeze a ton of extra money from someone after a deal has been made. With anyone, let alone your own children. Generally speaking, resources flow from parents to children. That is how it works in healthy relationships. You don't owe them anything. They chose to have a child knowing what it will entail and cost. They are awful people and will never admit to being wrong. You will probably have to learn to come to terms with knowing they will never ever see the error in their ways. Because honestly, they sound like sociopaths, treating their own children like some mark to be scammed. Personally, I would do the following. 1. Ship all the possessions you can't take with you to where you live abroad. 2. Leave immediately. You can say goodbye if you want. But honestly, It's just going to give them another opportunity to manipulate and gaslight you and undermine your decisions. Don't negotiate. Don't justify. Don't give in to their demands and guilt tripping. 3. Get a therapist. Because you have a lifetime of a forked up relationship to unpick. You're probably going to be horrified by it all once you get a broader perspective on it.
Hey, thank you so much for this awesome advice. So my grandma has allowed me to stay with her. In fact, she's super stoked about it, so I will be spending the rest of my stay at her house before I leave back to my own place. She is also okay if I leave my stuff in her garage, so I will leave it there for now. I think you are right that I can be oblivious to my parents' behavior. Ever since me and my siblings were children, we have been told that we have to pay my parents back for all the food, shelter, etc. they have provided us. My siblings also give money to my parents, as do my grandparents. Apparently paying your parents back doesn't count for them. They are awful people who never think they do anything wrong, and every time I try to distance myself, they call my entire family and have them call me telling me I am breaking the family up and whatever. So I am always left to feel like the bad guy. Lastly, I do indeed have a therapist. I got one as soon as I left home, and I will be discussing this situation with him, because it has left me very shaken and heartbroken, even though I should be used to it by now. Thank you so much once again for the kind advice. I wish you a wonderful 2022.
They sound so toxic. I had the same situation with my mother. I was the eldest too, so if either of my siblings got into trouble, I was also blamed for not preventing it. I love the logic there. Once I started working at 15 or 16, she'd make me hand up 60% of my wage. But I also had to pay for all my own clothes, food, school books, uniforms, etc. I moved out at 19. And I was 6 months pregnant. I couldn't cope being in the house with her any longer. So being told constantly what a failure I was. Now I have my own family 21 years later. And it's a completely different house to the one I grew up with. I'm close to all my children. And we are very happy. The best thing I ever did was removing that toxicity from my life. OP. I hope you can do the same and are not too hurt by their behavior. This way they treat you is not fault of your own. They are terrible people. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your time with your grandma.
You pay them. Your sibling pay them. Apparently other relative pay them. Where on earth is all this money going?
I really hope this is a troll post.
No. Even when I was a child, my parents would take my birthday money for themselves. They started charging me for things as soon as I had money.
Make sure before you go to write a letter to highlight how utterly pathetic they have been. Next time you're in Ireland, ye can stay with me for fork all. I'm angry for you fella.
Don't do this. Or if you do it for your own catharsis. And never send it to them. Speaking as someone who did this and had the letter circulated to extended family, friends, co-workers and managers is an example of my true colors, and how much I lied. Together with happy family photos and innocuous texts of me thanking them for small things, like socks as a present. With them saying, she didn't seem to mind at the time. Now look how she acts when she doesn't get her own way. Did serious damage in so many different ways. Just move on. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't need to fix them. They're not going to learn a lesson. You're not their parents. And don't cut off others. Just change the topic when they come up in conversation. Grit your teeth if you have to. Nod. Smile. Agree with whatever if they, friends and extended family, insist. Then just do whatever you want. And try to document what they just said in writing. Text them saying you feel terrible that they feel you outstayed your welcome. How you believed the €400 was agreed for the full month. And with all the extra spending, itemize it all. You had thought this counted towards the full month as well. And you'd never have thought you were an inconvenience to them over Christmas. The sentiment doesn't need to be real, but the facts do. Get them to admit it. Then you have that over them if they complain to others about how you mistreated them.
Being the bigger person in a confrontation with your own parents is one of the most frustrating, heartbreaking, and necessary things to do in a situation like this. My parents are decent people overall who have given me so much and would never dream of being as shooty as OP's parents. But, still, there have been countless times I've had to turn the other cheek, like they taught me, because they won't do it themselves. It's just not worth it to fight. Make the cut, rise above it, and move on.
Kann assubredi ligali adopte a person.
So long as OP is also note ken. I don't see why not.
We have time to multi minor image.
They're not charging you for storing your belongings. Missed opportunity.
Don't give them any ideas, aha.
You're not from Cavan, are you? Your parents sound hungry as fork. Why did they charge you to visit over Christmas at all? You weren't taking up any rentable lodgings. And it wasn't a long-term arrangement. Take note of your belongings there, because the two of them will have them up on eBay before you know it.
No, haha. I am from Cork. I am used to it as since I was little. They told me that since they took care of me since I was born, I would have to pay them back once I started working. So, it's basically like I took a loan at birth. I think you're right, but they're too daft to use eBay.
That's not how having children works. You didn't ask to be born. You owe them nothing. Familial relationships are doing things for each other because you want to. It should not boil down to a series of transactions.
I mean, my granddad was Irish and it seems it was a thing that kids sent some money you earned back to your mother. He worked in England where he met my nan, and that carried on up until she passed away, I'm fairly sure. It sounds mental to me though, but he was born in the 40s.
For most of the 20th century, Ireland was a good bit poorer than the rest of Western Europe, so it wasn't uncommon for people earning more in other countries to send money home. It wasn't a paying your parents back for raising you thing, it was an a lot of Irish people are poor AF thing. It took us a while to recover from being colonized.
Ah yeah, makes sense. I think it goes that he was a baker, and that was one of the best paid jobs in town, but he wanted to go to England and follow his mates, and be a laborer instead. Probably just as well, or I'd not exist.
Okay, it's decided. After reading your story, I'm putting myself forward as your new foster mum. Your parents' demands are well beyond reasonable. You do not deserve that kind of meanness. Sometimes, our friends have to become our family. My daughter could not travel because of COVID. To have had her for a month would have been so lovely. Wishing you a happy new 2022. Okay, shutting up now. Ooh, I'm livid. Signed, your new FM.
Thanks, Emil. That's really kind of you.
And your second foster mum is chiming in. This is effing crazy, but I also know some greedy people. So.
This sounds pretty forked up. I wouldn't say cut them out. But you should just have a simple Viber relationship with them.
I think you're right. I spent the last 2 Christmas alone and thought that was bad, but this is worst, to be honest.
I would agree with old man Mark. I wouldn't cut them out, but I also wouldn't go out of my way to visit them.
Nah, I cut them out completely. What exactly do they offer him? There's no upside. Get rid.
Hun, imagine this. You have your own kid and they want to come stay for Christmas. What would you love to do for them? Since you are visiting for the month and live far away, I would personally want to make sure you had no worries, especially financially. I wouldn't charge rent. If I really needed help with the food, then maybe, but on extra mouth to feed won't add much. I would be cooking you homemade meals and spending as much time with you as I could, before you got sick of me. I'd go all out and have you helping me in the kitchen. It may just be chatting or cutting some veg up, but I would love you there. I had this all planned for my stepson coming over, but we may be positive for COVID, so that is all on hold. When he gets to come, we will do all this, and there is not a day in his life that he will ever pay us rent. I teach him how to cook and help around the place to lighten the load, but I will never make money from my boy. I am glad you get to be with your nan, and I hope you have good visit left. Know this though, your stuff may be gone by the time you are back. They know it is important. May know it is worth money and already your grandparents pay them money. They will just pop into the garage and steal it. 8 years ago, I cut contact with my family and I am so goddamn happy. It is hard at first to change how your whole world is focused. It's always been on what they want, what makes them happy. 4 Chem. You go do what you want and what makes you happy. I am so glad you are at least in a different country. Run far and make a new life. Try to never go back to them and don't let anyone manipulate you either. You may find your siblings saying that you are missed. Yeah, that is your parents at them all the time to see how you are, get you to talk to them and so on. They are not doing it for you, they just want your parents to shut the fork up. Guard your information closely. If they are on your social media, make a new one and block them and all their potential friends immediately. Start fresh.
Thank you so much for your encouraging comment. I am glad you have a wonderful relationship with your stepson. It says a lot that my biological parents don't treat me with near as much love as you treat him. That is not to say that stepchildren are lesser than biological children, more so that the common saying of blood is thicker than water is not fully true. I am glad you managed to find your place after what happened to you, and I will try to do the same even though it hurts right now. Once again, thank you very much, and I wish you a wonderful 2022. Hope you can see your boy soon.
This is one of the oddest forking things I've ever seen on this subreddit. Not to be mean, but did they have an addiction to anything?
As far as I know, they don't have any addictions, although they smoke a lot, which you may or may not count as one, but they make dreadful financial decisions. For example, constantly getting those phone contracts so they can have the newest phone. They change phones like every year or so, or constantly buying cars on done deal, or whatever.
Feel free to stop answering me. Did they work?
No. They are on disability, which I believe is the reason why their rent is so low, even for council housing or HAP. But I am not sure how social welfare works, as I have never claimed it myself.
Are they actually disabled? Are taking the easy money instead of putting in effort of working? Maybe they are just lazy and money hungry at the same time. People who expect everything for nothing, and don't believe in responsibilities. Plenty like that, unfortunately. I would get my stuff, or if you're not around, get someone else to collect them. And then let them know it's unreasonable to expect all this money from you, and you won't be paying it. I wouldn't vocalize that you're cutting them off, but I would plan to spend less time and effort with them, to be honest.
As far as I know, my dad got it because he suffered a heart attack and now has damaged his heart. And my mom is because of sciatica or some nerve problems on her legs. Yeah, I will be taking my stuff out to my nan, and never for the life of me will I trust them again with an agreement. I would rather spend Christmas alone than go through what they have put me through this year, to be honest.
This may sound strange, but is your family new to Ireland? I have heard of something very similar but from an Indian friend. I am so sorry you had to go through this. This is not normal.
Hey, thank you for your reply. My parents are not originally from Ireland or India, but they have been here for 20-odd years. I have a lot of friends from Asia who experienced similar things, so to be honest, for a long time, I felt I was the one being entitled, hence why I didn't know if I was overreacting here.
Darling, I'm descended from the Irish diaspora and currently live in Georgia, USA. You are now my kid. You are good, you are smart, you are loved. Drink plenty of water, take your meds, if you take anything, get plenty of sleep, eat your veggies. You always have a home here. Pick up after yourself and let me cook food for you, it's a win-win. I will teach you to sew, crochet, and shoot arrows. I give the best hugs. Kiss your granny, she sounds like a good one.
Thanks a lot for your kind heart. Would be lost without my nan right now for sure. I wish you and yours a wonderfully happy new year out there in Georgia.
Are your parents bipolar? They don't sound right in the head at all.
They both have emotionally unstable personality disorder. And my dad also has intermittent explosive disorder, which is why I try not to cause too much trouble, because if I say or do anything he doesn't like, he breaks things etc. So it's better for everyone if I stay quiet.
Okay, now things are making sense. Your parent behavior is probably a result of their EUPD. Do they get help for it? Are they on meds?
Lay off with the interrogation.
But she started the thread.
The way you word both questions and responses about mental health is absolutely horrific.
I have family with mental health issues similar to OPS. I know what I'm talking about.
I have a dog, but it doesn't make me a forking vet now, does it?
By the way you are going on here, you may want to have yourself looked at too.
You should invite them to your place and then issue a bill of your own.
Funny thing is they asked me to come visit but want me to pay for their stay, flights, train tickets and hotels, so they can do sightseeing.
Don't even consider doing that. I would respond by saying this. You charged me for my stay when I came home. I am going to be kinder than you. And I will offer you to stay at mine with no accommodation costs for a cheaper holiday. But you will need to make your own way here, or not bother coming. Here are the dates open. Let me know if you are coming. Unless they need a hotel and can't stay with you. And I still wouldn't pay it for them.
I can 100% guarantee you that isn't going to happen. They're getting notions because my cousin invited her family to stay at her house, and paid for everything, plus took them around the country. But my cousin lives in the countryside, not in Ireland, on 2 incomes and has a house. I live in a European capital on 1 income and have a studio, so the situations are not comparable.
Cacete velho, que vida de merda, mandem eles a bosta. Old man, what a shitty life, send them to shoot.
Às vezes é assim que me sinto para dizer a verdade.
Sometimes this is how I feel to tell the truth.